Good afternoon, Marianne. It's lovely to see you. You're here to talk about your book, Sow Milk, Stolen Honey, and it was released this year, yes?
Yes, it was indeed. It came out late March of this year.
And it became #1.
For a period of time, it actually hit the top of the charts in America and in Britain, and I was delighted with that wonderful result when I opened the page and saw #1 in its category. It was a thrill.
You said in its category.
Yes.
What is your book about?
The book is a true story, a journal, a collection of journals and diaries written in real time about the battle I have had with the State of Israel, with its brutal family laws that has held my husband hostage for almost 8 years, and really only for money. And it's been an eye-opener. And the reason I wrote this book isn't just because I wanted to indulge people in a really sad story about me. I wrote it because it's typical of probably tens of thousands of people there who are living the same hell. And I felt it was important that this story finally got to the world.
So your original reason was to write about you and your rather painful journey, and it's broadened out into a wider scope, a more global issue. Is that correct?
I actually didn't write the book for the purpose of telling my own story. And I know you have read it and you found it quite a journey and harrowing at times and made you cry at times and gasp, I know, because it's a fairly unpredictable process. You know, you think she can't be doing that now when she just did that then. So it's a very disjointed journey if it was written on purpose, and it wasn't written on purpose to be disjointed, it was true. The reason I wrote the book is because it's bigger than me and it's bigger than him. It's actually a real problem. It's a seriously real problem, and if we have any investment and care in the well-being of any of the people that live in that region, then this unreported stuff needs to be out there and digested.
You mentioned unreported stuff. This is a reference, I think, to your visit to Geneva, where you actively lobbied in the UN, and to the horror of the people you were lobbying, the truth did actually out.
The truth did out. It was a kind of... it wasn't a plan. Do you know, it's funny though, I will say that at some point during this journey, I remember thinking over the years, if I could just get to the UN, maybe everything would change. And actually then it did happen, so it's kind of a bit weird from there. But I went to the UN at the behest of someone else, who escorted me, a French doctor actually, who'd suffered immense problems of his own, and his story, or some of his stories in my book. And I'd learned repeatedly over those months that although my story was apparently Premier League, I'm told, in terms of abuse, there were tens of thousands of men, women and children who were suffering so much that some people chose suicide as an option because it was that bad. That's when everything changed for me. That's when it became more than, oh, I just want my life to be okay. And the reason I went through the ordeal of writing the book is because the pain that's in there is real and happening right now. And this morning when you and I woke up to have this meeting, another person probably took their life in Israel today.
For the same reasons?
Absolutely.
During your original script for your book, you were already suffering the loss of your mother, a near-death experience of your own, and some pretty rough trauma. Is this going to feature in your new book? I believe you're calling it A Line in the Sand at the moment as a temporary title.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I think that I will make no apologies for how this book was written, in terms of if anyone can show me a diary that they've written in real time, or a piece of journalism when it was actually happening to them personally, I defy anyone to be able to sit down and write social political commentary or history in that moment whilst you're waiting for a judge to give you a life or not. It doesn't happen.
So that's the next book containing those elements that you feel were missing from the first.
I think so. I think the context needs to be broadened. I'm not a historian. I think a lot of people know what's going on in Israel, but I'm trying to write and give more personal stories, more personal impact. There are lots more people who have these stories. And I think also it may be useful to compare Israel with other democracies, which they're part or claiming to be, and let's see how they stand up.
Bit of a powder keg then.
Well, a life worth living has to be a powder keg from time to time, doesn't it?
Thank you for the insight. I'm looking forward to your second book, and in the meantime I'm going back to read Sour Milk, Stolen Honey just one more time.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.